If you saw a job ad like this in the US, only women under 30, it wouldn't just feel wrong, it would be illegal. The company could get sued. The listing would be taken down almost immediately. But in Vietnam, you'll see job ads like this all the time. Posted openly, shared publicly, sometimes even more specific. Age, gender, appearance, and no one reacts. No outrage, no backlash. Which raises the obvious question. Why is something that feels completely unacceptable in one system perfectly normal in another? And here's the part most people miss. It's not because people don't care. It's because the system is solving a different problem. And here's why. I'm John, a Vietnamese American living here full-time. The first time I saw one of these job ads, it stopped me. I wasn't just browsing randomly. At the time, I was actually trying to hire someone. I needed help with my YouTube channel. Basic stuff, research, finding clips, maybe organizing footage. So I started looking at job listings in Vietnam, just to understand how people here write them. What kind of roles exist? What kind of pay they offer? What a normal job ad looks like. And that's when I saw it. Female, under 30. Right there in the description. No hesitation. No attempt to hide it. And my first reaction was immediate. This can't be right. In the US, something like this wouldn't even make it past HR. It would get flagged instantly. So I assumed this was just one company. Maybe they didn't know better. Maybe they weren't careful. But then I kept scrolling and saw it again and again. Different companies, different industries, same kind of requirement. And what surprised me wasn't just the ads. It was how normal they seemed. So I asked a local friend who was helping me. I showed her one of the listings and said, "Is this real? Can they actually write this?" And she didn't even hesitate. She just said, "Yeah, that's normal." And that's when it started to feel less like a mistake and more like a pattern. And that's when it clicked. I wasn't looking at a violation. I was looking at a system I didn't understand yet. Once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. Not just online, but outside stores, printed signs, help wanted boards, female staff needed, under 28 preferred, sometimes even details about appearance. And it's not limited to one type of job. Retail, hospitality, office admin, front-facing roles especially. So the obvious explanation is, this is discrimination. And from a Western perspective, that makes complete sense. Because in that system, hiring is supposed to be neutral. You evaluate based on skills, experience, qualifications, not age, not gender. So when you see something like this, it feels outdated, unfair, even illegal. And honestly, that explanation feels right. And to be clear, that's not wrong. There is real discrimination happening here. Age, gender, appearance, those filters are real. And in many cases, they would never be allowed in Western systems. So yes, part of what you're seeing is exactly what it looks like. But that still doesn't explain why it's so visible. Or why no one reacts to it. Because if it were only about bias, you'd expect people to push back, at least a little. Instead, it's accepted, repeated, normalized. And that's the part the discrimination explanation doesn't fully explain. Which means something else is going on. Something the discrimination explanation doesn't fully capture. And that's the part most people miss. Because hiring in Vietnam isn't structured around neutrality. It's structured around fit. Not in an abstract sense, but in a very immediate, practical way. Who can do this job? In this specific environment, with the least friction. This isn't a system optimized for legal protection. It's a system optimized for speed and clarity. The employer doesn't write a general description and then filter through hundreds of applicants. They filter before the process even starts, by stating exactly what they're looking for. So instead of apply and we'll evaluate you, it becomes, if you don't fit this, don't apply. That reduces time, reduces mismatch, reduces uncertainty, and in a fast-moving, high turnover environment, that matters a lot. This is why you see requirements that feel overly specific, because the system isn't trying to be broad. It's trying to be efficient, and this is where the misunderstanding happens. Because from the outside, it looks like exclusion, but from inside the system, it's pre-filtering. And if you look closely, this isn't completely absent in Western systems either. It just looks different. Instead of saying it directly, companies imply it through wording, through culture fit, through who actually gets called back. And then they spend more time filtering later. Through interviews, through multiple rounds, trying to figure out the same things, just in a less direct way. So the difference isn't that one system filters and the other doesn't. It's when the filtering happens and how visible it is. And once you see that, the behavior starts to make more sense. But that still doesn't explain everything, because efficiency alone doesn't explain why those specific filters exist. Age, gender, appearance. So what is actually being filtered in many of these roles, especially front-facing ones? You're not just hiring for skill. You're hiring for interaction, energy, presentation, consistency. A cafe doesn't just need someone who can make coffee. They need someone who can stand for hours, handle customers, maintain a certain presence, day after day. A retail store doesn't just need someone to ring up sales. They need someone who fits the image of the space, who can communicate easily, who customers respond to. So instead of testing all of that after hiring, the system tries to approximate it up front through visible traits, not because it's perfectly accurate, but because it's fast. And in this system, speed matters more than precision, because hiring here isn't a one-time decision. It's continuous. People move in and out of jobs quickly. Roles change, demand shifts, so the system has to keep up. And that means making decisions quickly, with the information that's easiest to verify. And that's why these requirements stay visible, not hidden, not implied, but stated directly. Because the goal isn't to appear fair. It's to reduce friction in the process. So the next time you see something like this, it won't just look like a violation. You'll recognize what it's actually doing. It's not trying to include everyone. And then filter later. It's filtering immediately. So the system can move faster. And once you see that, something that felt shocking at first starts to feel consistent. If you want to understand more of how Vietnam actually works beneath the surface, subscribe. Because this same kind of system, where things look wrong at first, but make sense once you see what they're optimizing for, shows up in everyday life, even in something as simple as how people communicate.